it's Jade from the Saddle Bank, and today we're going to be looking at the step-by-step process of a saddle fitting and how we go through it as saddle fitters. So we're going to take you through the introduction to the horse and the rider, the conformation assessment, the back check, templating, static fit, and also the ridden fit. So let's get started, and this is my little friend Joey. Okay, so for the first part of saddle fitting, what I'm going to do is I'm going to speak to Temeka. I'm going to ask her a few questions about herself and the pony, and just get a feel for their history, what they do, any accidents and injuries, that sort of thing, and then we can go to the next step. So, what's his name?
This is Joey.
Super, and he's a gelding.
Yep.
And he's right. And what's his breed?
He's a Welsh Sea.
Super. Do you know his height?
He's about 14'1".
Yep. Okay, super. We'll have a look at that as well. And his age?
He's 5.
That's lovely. And has he had any accidents or injuries that you know
No,
of?
not that I know of.
What do you do with him?
We do a little bit of everything. Obviously, at the moment, it's just mainly building muscle, but we have started show jumping a little bit as well.
And how long have you had him?
Just over a year.
And how is he to ride? Is he quite forward?
It depends what day you find him on. He is often quite lazy, so has to be ridden with a whip sometimes. But he can be a bit lazy, and also likes to throw a few moves sometimes as well.
On the bucks, or
Yeah.
bucks. Okay, no problem at all. So what we're going to do is just have a look at his condition score. So we're going to rate him on a 1 to 5 scale, 1 being very malnourished, 5 being quite chunky. So we're going to feel his neck. So quite a good neck on him. A little bit of fat pad there. See it? It's very well covered. Not quite feel his ribs. Just about. Good look. So I'd say he's a 3.5, because of his breed. He generally should be a bit stocky anyway, so we'll give him a 3.5. Super. What I'm also going to do is take his weight down, just for our records. Is he okay with the weight tape?
Yep, absolutely fine.
Super. So I'm going to take our weight tape here. I just need to be careful and just show it to the horse first, just to make sure they know what's coming. Don't be scared of a big white snake. He is obviously nearly falling asleep, so I don't think he's going to be bothered at all. So we're going to pop it over his back. And we take it from the highest point of his withers. And depending on how you want to do it, you can either do it from the start of the tape here or literally the end of the tape there. And you want to take it in centimetres. It doesn't matter whether you do it from here or here, just make sure you do it consistently the same with every single horse. So I'm going to go from the bottom of the tape here, and we're going to record him at 167 centimetres. Okay, so the next part I'm going to do is I'm going to have a look at his conformation and just look for anything that's going to impact the fit or affect the way a saddle may fit him or how it may sit on his back. So we're going to look at his head to toe. So he's got a nice pony head. He's got a good sized neck on him. It's quite well set onto his shoulders as well. And he's got quite a fairly upright shoulder actually. And that actually gives us a little bit more room in the back. So if you've got a horse with quite an angled shoulder, it can obviously limit your saddle placement area. He's got quite low withers. And he's fairly flat for his back, but he's got quite a rise to croup. So he has got a slight curve to him, although it does sit quite flat in the middle. So yeah, rise to croup, chunky quarters. He's got very well sprung ribs. His legs are nice and straight. And I'm also going to have a look at his shoulders and just have a feel for his shoulders, just to see if one's larger than the other or one's got a bit more muscle on it. Now, because he's a pony, I can look over his back. If I had a large horse to deal with, I would need a step or stool to do this. So his left shoulder slightly further behind, which is quite common with a lot of horses. That's not a problem. It's just something worth noting, obviously, when looking at fitting the saddle. Okay, so now we're going to take his templates, and again, that's for our records, just so that we can see if there are any changes in him throughout the year, or as he grows and develops. Obviously, he's only 5. He may have a little bit more maturing to do, but generally, by sort of 8 years old, they're going to be set in their conformation. It's just condition that can change, which is obviously the fat and the muscle. So some people will actually take the first template on the scapula, which would be here. I tend to take our first one 3 fingers behind, because again, that's where the point of the tree of the saddle sits. So for me, that's a really important one to do. So 3 fingers behind the scapula, which we can see is here. And we just run our hand flat down the template with a flexi curve. Just check that. Temeka, if you could just pop your hand flat on there for me. And is he okay to walk behind? Yep. Super. And we just check it from the other side. Yep, that's great. And I'm just going to grab that off there. Oh, it's a bit tickly. And then we're going to pop it onto our paper and draw around. Now, something that's really important to note here. So we're using a flexi curve here. This is a 60 centimetre flexi curve. You can get these on our website, on the Saddlebank website. And if you can have a look at this quite close up, you can see it's got a flat side, and then it's got a side which is sort of angular here. We always want to put the flat side towards the horse's ears, so when we put it flat on the paper, it doesn't cause any false templating or anything like that. Because if we put this side down, our pen could slip into the gap, and that wouldn't be quite accurate. So we always use flat side towards the ears because that's what's going down on the paper. Now the second one we're going to do is going to be on T18, which is 18th thoracic vertebrae, and that's the last one before the lumbar area. So to find that, there are a couple of different ways, and the way you're going to use depends on the horse. So his ribs are quite well covered. So sometimes you can feel for the last rib, follow the curve of the rib up, and then it would be here. So that's where his T18 would be. And we can check that if you want to stand up in that. We can check that by feeling down his spine, and we'll feel a bump. Some horses you can't feel it. Him I can feel just a little bump there. That just verifies that for us. Another way you can do it is also feel along the shelf of their ribs to where the last rib actually is. So again, there's a few different methods you can use. And again, use the flat of your hand to mould that to his shape. And once you're happy with that, take it off the page, take it off the horse and pop it onto your page. And the final measurement I'm going to do is just along his back so we get the shape. And again, use the flat side away from you because that's the side that's going to be going onto the paper. And make sure your horse is standing square, because if they're not, it can alter the results. Could you just walk him on a step for me? Back. Back. Okay, super. So flat side away from you. Just shape your flexi curve along the horse's spine. And I'm going to pick it up 3 fingers behind the scapula and at our T18 point. And that's where I'm going to pinch and pop it on the sheet. So before we move on to trying any cells on the horse, we want to make sure that he is comfortable throughout his back and there's no sensitivity. Now I'm going to show you how to do this, but this should only be carried out by a professional saddle fitter or your physio or something like that. So don't try this at home. So first of all, I'm going to put one hand on the front of his shoulder here, or his chest, and then I'm just going to feel lightly around the back of the scapula, just for any heat, lumps, bumps and swelling. Any soreness, because if he's had a saddle that's ill-fitting before, really pulling down his scapula, could be a little bit sore here. So I'm just going to do it a little bit harder. So just behind the scapula, just a little bit of a deeper palpation. Okay. And then I'm going to gently feel along his back. Again, we're checking for any lumps, bumps, heaps, swelling right over the groove. That feels great. So then I'm going to do a little bit harder all the way along the side of his spine. Again, don't try this at home. It should only be done by a professional saddle fitter. Now, if he was going to be reactive here, he would dip away from my hand. So it's a little bit sensitive there. Nothing too bad. Okay. And then we're also going to check his girth through. So some horses are very girthy and they won't appreciate you doing this at all. So it's just to see if they've had any bad experience with girth, any ulcers, that sort of thing. We're then going to go and check it on the other side. So again, we start with the scapula. No sensitivity there, which is great. Again, feeling along the back, nice and gently. It's a very warm sunny day today, so he does feel quite warm anyway. He's been sunbathing the past hour. And then we're going to just feel a little bit deeper. As I said, if a horse is very sore in its back, he will literally dip away from your hand and really move away from it. He's not moving away at all, so that's absolutely fantastic. And the last check we would do is along the spine. So I'm going to put my hand here, and I'm just going to feel all the way along the spine again, for any movement, or if he's going to dip away from me, for any sensitivity. That all feels really good. Yep, that's fantastic. So I'll be happy to then move on to the next phase. So now we're going to have a look at how the horse moves, just in walk and trot, and again just check for any lameness or anything like that we can see, which means you wouldn't want to progress to the ridden section or trying on any saddles. So if you could please walk away from me and then trot him back. Now here we're looking to make sure his hips are nice and level, he's not laying on any feet or anything like that. And see what we can notice about the way he moves. So yeah, he doesn't look lame at all, so that's fantastic. We'll now move on to trying some saddles on.